Well, hi everybody. How you doing out there? I usually don't come back this quick, but I have people asking questions, and I kept answering them individually, and I thought I'd answer them all at once. Uh, anyway, a lot of people are wanting to know how to get a hold of me for a reading, and it's on my email me at Lynn Terra Readings, and that readings has an S on it, at gmail.com. LynnTarotReadings at gmail.com. Be sure and put your phone number in there, and I'll get back with you with the information. Um, let's see what else. Oh, and I also, before I even get started, Mystery Achiever put timestamps on my last video. And then there's another lady, and I don't know if I mentioned her name or not, but I don't know why I wrote it down and then I lost it, but I'll tell you next time another lady that's been so sweet that's been doing it. There's a couple of them that's been doing that. I'll be honest with you, I don't know how to use timestamps. I wouldn't know how to use them, but all I have is an iPad. I don't have a computer. So maybe that's why. In fact, I think if I had a real computer and could learn how to work it, I'd write a book. Been talking about it for a long time, but I don't know if I've got the energy, but I've had the name for a long time. But anyway, I hope you're all doing great out there, and I want to thank my new subscribers, and I want to thank your beautiful comments, and one thing that I had some people ask me, and I answered one of them, but not everybody's going to read all that stuff, is they asked me if there was a special time if you really wanted to connect with Spirit, when to connect. Well, the best time, in all the different classes I've taken and schools of thought I've went through in the last 40 years, the ones that I respected the most and everything said the best time, and I feel like it's true too. In fact, that's why they call insomnia God's night school sometime, is like about 4 in the morning, your time. And the reason being is that the others are emptied out by then. There's so much energy on the other side that we don't even realize it's there, going back and forth, because there's nowhere that anybody's energy stops that another one starts, even of the people living here on earth, plus the other energies. And in your time zone, about 4 o'clock in the morning, most people are still in bed. So it's a lot quieter in the others. So that's when some of our best information comes through. So I thought I'd answer that question. And then before I start doing my reading, and if somebody does timestamp this, they can say, if you don't want to listen to me talk, go by there. I've had so many people ask me about the bar that I owned and operated and worked myself half to death in, because it was just a little hole in the wall. But they wanted to know where it was and some things about it. And I was thinking of something that was kind of relative to our politics today, because of a lot of this junk I've heard on TV lately, the propaganda. But to start out, it was located in Imperial Valley. And it was like a half a mile outside a Navy base. And the town only had 2 bars, and a good baseball player could have hit a ball from my front door to their back door. And there wasn't even any sidewalks. We're talking about a little town in the middle of the desert. You've all seen those towns. And the name of the town was Sealy, California. But anyway, the name of the bar was the Desert Club. And everybody except me, I think, called us the DC. Everybody from the Navy did. And that's where most of my business came from, because they would bring the pilots down to do touch and goes, and the paratroopers in from England, and the Blue Angels spent the winter there. So when I first went into the bar at 25, I thought the reason I attracted all these younger people and younger energy was because I was their age. When I had my last child, the Blue Angels crew chiefs used to come babysit for me if I had to go to the doctor, because they didn't work as hard then as they did now. They had a lot of time off in between. They had them scheduled where they weren't pushing them. But anyway, we're going back. I want to tell you how far I'm going back, because when I start talking about the subject I was going to talk about, I went in there in 1969, the summer of the moon shot, whatever. And I was in there for 38 years. I don't remember exactly what that year was I left, but 38 years later, and it was just a little L-shaped place. The back part of it, front part of it, had been an old horse barracks from the military when they had horses out there. Somebody had dragged it out there and put it on a foundation, kind of. I don't know if I could call it a real foundation or not, but it was like and so that was the lawn part. And right before I bought it, the people I bought it, my dad bought it from actually to start with. He put the down payment down anyway. The back room, which was a big square that had been added on, was also hauled in from the Navy base. I always used to say, if somebody walked into the toilet, I'd probably stand up and salute, because if it wasn't for the Navy base, I may not have been able to keep the doors open. But I didn't get that building. That was already done when I bought it, that back building. And there was enough room for 2 pool tables in there. When I first bought it, there was only one, but I figured out how to get 2 in there. I had to take some booths out to do it. So I spent 38 years just trying to survive, because it was just a little beer bar, and then after about 15 years I added wine, which didn't bring much revenue, but it did get rid of the law where I didn't have to let minors come in. But because I sold food there, when it was just a beer license, I had to let minors come in, and I didn't like that. So I didn't encourage it, and I didn't let them come in on their own, but I had to let them come in with their parents. It wasn't like they were running in and out the doors. So, and most of the people that lived in that little bitty town, a lot of them were retired military, and they were really not as like-minded as I was. It's funny, because the younger military was drawn to me, even as I got to be an old lady in that bar, and younger people bought the bar next door. I still had most of the military business in my bar, because they felt comfortable there, and they didn't feel comfortable in the other bar, which was very rednecky. But it was quite an experience. So it was quite a lesson for this lifetime. I would not wish that on anybody. Trying to raise 3 kids and worrying about how you're going to pay the bills and having to work all those hours, and talk about help from spirit. I ended up with 3 of the most wonderful children in the world, and they all grew up and had great jobs. And when I say had great jobs, 2 of them are already retired because they're that old. But it was like a miracle that I got so lucky with my children, and still trying to run that place, which was 7 miles away from my house, and running out there in the middle of the night to pick up the money. It was, when I look back on it, I don't even know how I did it, but it was like survival. It was kind of like getting pregnant. It got a little more nerve-wracking every day, and by the time, the last couple of years I was in there, every time the phone rang after 10, I could feel the hair standing up on my head, because I also had the only bar in the valley that was open till 2 a.m. every night. And I managed to do that for the whole 38 years. Because I knew that the first time people drove out in the country, or even drove out from the Navy base for last call or whatever because that's when I did most of my business, a lot of it between 12 and 2 a.m. So it was, a lot of stuff happened, a lot of things came down. Some people used to call it the Rafters because instead of the DC, because I don't know which bartender started it, but for about 25 to 30 years, I almost never got them stopped. I finally just had to threaten to fire everybody because I had the ABC board coming down on me. People would get naked and crawl up on the rafters and carve their names in them. So it was a partying place. The Blue Angels hanging out there, the Falcons from... I started thinking about this last night because I had a couple of people from England get a hold of me, and I thought, and I always wonder about them because I met so many beautiful people that were on the Falcon parachute team. That Jim, can't think of his last name now, but here we are. I'm doing, once I start this, everything goes. But some of the instructors and stuff came for almost 25, 30 of the years that I was in that bar for 37. And but what I was going to talk about is they keep talking about. I'm going to hook this onto politics. So this was in 1969, which is what, been 45 years ago, 50. I don't know. I'm 80 now. I was 25, 20. I'm just getting ready to turn 26 when I went in there. One of the most fun that they had. Well, to start with, they'd have a rope yarn. They called it rope yarn every Friday, and they'd let the guys out of the Navy off early so they could go get drunk. And then within 15 years, it changed so bad they weren't even supposed to drink. But anyway, one of the biggest, when the Blue Angels came to town, they always put on one show before they left. They'd spend three months there training. And then I'm going to jump back behind that. When the paratroopers came to town, almost every time they came, they'd put on a big show for the base before they left. And I don't know if you've ever been around English people, but they sing in all their pubs. In fact, when they were in, sometimes 20 or 30 of them would stop by back from the range because my bar was also on the way back to the base, and have their beers. And if they were getting ready to leave, and I got them singing, they'd be there another 2 hours. They loved to sing. But they also loved putting on shows out at the base. So I don't think it was still going on years later when I sold the bar, but when I first got there, they were coming over 3 or 4 times a year and spending 10 or 15 days there. The Falcons were from England. And they would put on a show before they left, and the show, about 78% of it was drag, the whole thing. And we didn't call it drag then. We didn't have our little catch names for it. But everybody knew the British was going to put on a show, that it was going to be a big bunch of burly Brits dressed up like women, and it was hilarious. And it was beautiful, and it was funny. It was like vaudeville. And they always had the biggest turnout every time they had something at the base like that was public, or you could go in, or most of the half people from the base was there in the town. It was always when they were in town because everybody loved to go see their shows. And we're going back 40 years ago. So, or maybe further since I'm 80, because I wasn't 40 yet when all this was going on. So they didn't call it grooming then. They called it fun. And then I noticed when the Blue Angels would do their deal, because they did one for a few years. They didn't do it very long. They would put a drag segment in there because the British got such a kick out of it, They everybody loved it so much that they were imitating them, and they did a good job too. They weren't the performers that the British were, but they did a good job. So I thought I'd throw that out there because now they're so worried about their toxic masculinity, where you have to rule the roost, rule the women, be the one in charge, keep the wife barefooted and pregnant and without a checkbook and without any money. And that's something else I wanted to talk about. When I went into that bar, me and my first husband had been having trouble. And I knew I wouldn't I had just been trying to figure out, I'd been keeping books for a produce company before then, and that my dad's and my husband's produce company. I was saving my money because I was trying to figure out how I could pay my house payment for at least a year if I left him. And I I knew I couldn't stay in this marriage because it was very toxic. But I also didn't want to hurt my dad because my dad was in business with him. He had taken him into his business, which was a commercial dry packing business. So I wasn't even interested in buying the bar. My husband took my dad out there because he had talked to the lady that wanted to sell it, and they came home, they had bought it, and I had no choice but to go to work in it because the place was so small you couldn't support yourself on it unless you worked a lot of hours. So that's how it all started. But I even told my first husband when he came home, well, you shouldn't have done that, because I had already told him I was going to leave him. But I don't think he believed me. But anyway, I don't want to get into any more personal on that. So anyway, so I got divorced and got married again in 6 months. God. But that's what women did then. I couldn't even go into a restaurant and sit down and have a meal. Even if I had my beautiful son with me years later, when I divorced my second husband 15 years later, or we got divorced, by myself, because I felt like you feel like everybody was staring at you because you didn't have a man with you. You didn't even feel comfortable in a restaurant without a man with you. And after the second divorce, which was 16 years after the first one, and of course, one of the things, my husband traded, that old deal that my husband traded a 40-year-old on a 20-year-old, that was what happened there. But that was fine because they actually had more in common than me and him did by then, because he was the love of my life. And for that time in my life, it was wonderful when it first started. But he drank when I met him. He was just getting out of the Air Force after 8 years. And that was his life. That was, he was the functional alcoholic. But and the reason I drank is because if I went out to the bar and had to stay there, I'd go crazy if I didn't have a drink. And a lot of times when we were having pool tournaments or something, I just, I couldn't have did it without having a couple of drinks because I didn't want to be there to start with. But I don't want to go into my psychic or anything, everything going on that way. But what I wanted, because what I was going for here is after my second marriage. And when my first marriage broke up, I paid all the bills off, and we split the income tax money. I wanted to keep my credit rating and his good. And then I was already had the bar in my name and everything, and I was paying all the bills. And I had credit cards that I'd had in me and his name, and I took, after I remarried, I got credit cards, and then they were in me and my second husband's name, who didn't even have any credit when I met him. But I brought his credit up to 100% and kept it there for 16 years. And after we got divorced, the first time I went to trade my car in and get a new car, they charged me 10% extra. And this was not after 85, around 85. They charged me 10% extra on my payments and stuff because I was a woman and I didn't have any credit rating. And I said, what do you mean I don't have any credit rating? I've been the one taking care of the bills, to holding everything together, doing it, whatever. And when I look back now, I can't believe it was that bad. And that's the type of world that the Republican young men and the people from Turning Points USA and stuff want to put women back into. And I guess it's their last. These men are so toxic, this toxic masculinity. They don't know how to be kind. You shouldn't have to be an asshole to keep a woman. And a woman shouldn't have to be barefooted and pregnant and not be able to support herself to stay with a man. It would be nice to have choice and choose to stay with each other. But anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up. But the thing that got me the most was the drag shows and how long they'd been going on, and probably still, until these assholes get in there that's in there now, and they try to take something that was wholesome and funny and hilarious and turn it into, call it grooming, when they're the ones that's grooming those kids at Turning Points and at all those young, whatever. I don't even want to go there. I don't want to get my mind in there. So anyway, I thought I'd mention that, and I hope you can hear me. I've been trying to talk louder. I'm going to try not to bang my cards. I got a new deal underneath them where they may not pop. But I've got a really nice microphone set up, and I know most of you can hear me. So, you know, if you're wearing earbuds or something like that and you don't like the popping of the cards or something, that's how it is. That's how this channel works. And I'm sorry about that, but that's the way it works. But anyway, I turned my mic up again. I've gone from it being way below halfway to up halfway to loud, up to 3/4 of a tank. And so I don't know. You'll probably have to turn this down when it comes on because it's probably going to be too loud. But anyway, look, we're going to try it this way. And everybody says I don't have the mic in front of me. It's not right up in my mouth because I couldn't have it in front of me while I was doing cards, but it's straight across from me here. But it is further away from me than it was before from where it's adjusted on the table. But this is the way it works, the way this table's set up. That's the only way I can work it. So it is what it is what I'm trying to say. It is what it is. And so I guess that's everything I wanted to talk about before I started reading this. And one of the main questions everybody was asking me, and I guess I didn't read on it the other night, I just answered what I thought when they asked me if I thought that paperwork was planted on Biden, and I said no. I didn't think it was. I mean, that's where my head went to start with, and I got to thinking of it. No, not in the places they found it. But there's something murky there, and I did mention the Secret Service, so I had a lot of people that wanted me to read on, can Biden trust his own Secret Service, or does he need to go in there and clean some of them out? Because a lot of the things when he first went in, he left, and we still got that stupid guy taking care of the mail that needs to go. He just never really cleaned things out. As bad as things were, I don't know if his people around him were so close in that bubble, and not that they didn't realize they needed to protect him and help him realize that he needed to get rid of everybody and everything. And I guess they did change out most of the Secret Service, but everybody that wrote to me about this and stuff, they all seem to think that the Secret Service might be in on this, and they might have stuck some of that stuff in there even. And I'm sure Biden's smart enough to know if he looks back at something, because he's the same age I am, and if I had been vice president 6 years ago and had some stuff that was actually in my garage that had something to do with Iran, I would have even remembered what was going on in the country. That was probably about the time they were making that Iran deal and stuff. And so he probably knows if that's, at least, I'm sure, when if he looked at the contents at all, unless he just handed it over without looking at it, which that I wouldn't have wanted to do. But then he knows if he left it there or if it was planted. And if it had been planted, that would have probably leaked out already, because I think they got a mole around him, maybe more than one. But anyway, so that's the first thing I'm going to read on him. I'm trying to figure out how to, if they wanted to know if Biden's Secret Service can be trusted. So let's see. Well, they've been trusted so far. They haven't did any harm to him, but let's see. Can Biden's Secret Service be trusted? Can Biden's Secret Service be trusted? Can Biden's Secret Service be trusted? I even put a different pad under here so I didn't have to use the table to bounce these cards in like I was bouncing them on the wood before. So let's see, can Biden's Secret Service be trusted? No, they fell apart. Let me do it one more time. Biden's Secret Service be trusted. Come on in, Randy. Help me. Help me with these cards. Bring through spirit for me. Also, can Biden's Secret Service be trusted? Well, this is the Earth and Money card, so I think maybe they're checking into that right now. Even though, I'm not saying that's because he thinks that's what's going on, but I think they're hopefully running some checks on that. It looks like they're checking something. They're looking to see what's been done and looking back over to see if it's been done right. Look at this. This is not good. Looks like some people around him are trying to burn the house down. If there is, the foundation here is resting, thinking, visualizing. Maybe, I know he's a Scorpio, and I know men don't think like women, but maybe he's looking at it from a different angle. Maybe he is trying to figure out, well, what else? I know he said he had them look for other paperwork, and they found other paperwork, but I'm just wondering if he can trust the Secret Service. We got the Four of Swords there. It looks like they might be getting big money from somebody, and I don't think they get big money from the Secret Service. Some of them's been made an offer. Look at this. Some of them's been made an offer. But most of them have held strong. Most of them, so it's not that many of them. If there is some in there that he can't trust. In the 7th house, we got the bully card, the swords, getting rid of them. So it looks like I have the strangest feeling that they may be cleaning some people out around him. They may be investigating this and cleaning some people out. And I'm not blaming the Secret Service for the papers being found. So the question was, can he trust them? And I think they're going back through again, like a needle in a haystack, and maybe cleaning house a little bit with this card coming up in the 7th house. The environment around that is it needs to be changed. So maybe hopefully this whole deal is going to come out okay, although that was the stupidest decision I ever thought an AG could make, was to pick the guy that he picked to investigate Biden. This is going to be just like that Joe with the Clintons. He'll be investigating him 10 years from now if he's still in office. Just to prove the fact that he's being fair, he has to go pick Trump's appointee, the one that covered up for all his crooked attorney generals when he was in office. It doesn't even make sense, but nothing makes sense. I've always wondered if Garland was the worst, whatever. Don't say anything, Lynn. This is YouTube. This is for entertainment only. But yeah, there's going to be a change. There's going to be a big change in his Secret Service, or something to do with who's taking care of him, who's around him, who's maybe guarding him, watching over him. There's plans being made about that already. Wonder when we're going to hear about it. Because I think maybe it's something to do when this Jack Black starts following money, that some of the money that went to the Secret Service might be coming out of there. I was talking about the sound, and then I said something right in front of the mic. So anyway, yeah, when he starts talking about the money, when he starts looking for the money, it looks like that's when they might find that the net around Biden to protect him isn't as strong as it could be, because this is some new people coming in. So I'm going to pull these back up again and see if I can come up with anything else when I'm going through them. I was looking at them because a lot of people wanted to know if those were planted, and I still don't know, although we start out with the planted card. And somebody trying to burn his house down. And it's not like he doesn't have enough on his plate to make him sick and tired with worry. They're going to find out what's behind all this when they start following the money. Because I think maybe somebody's going to come in and tell them about it. So if somebody thinks they're close to being in trouble when they start following that money, this information is going to be told to them. Whether we ever find out about it or not, that'll be something else. Hopefully, because we got the strength card in the near future, they're checking this backwards and forwards and all around to see if they can figure out what's going on, that all of a sudden all these things are surfacing. I know he asked them to look for them, but who did he ask to look? The Secret Service? So I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable with this because Trump was talking about it before anybody else knew about it. So something leaked out to him. Even if those weren't planted, something leaked out to him before the news media even got it. So here's them cutting people out, changing the inside guard a little bit, which does change the power. Maybe they'll do a really good job and cut them all out of there and only have people in there that are loyalists to Biden. Because the hope is that they can get a plan that will do that. And it'll make our government and our president a lot safer if they bring some new people in to protect him and be around him. So that's what the cards are saying. And I don't know what I thought they were going to say, but I'm surprised. They do tell a story. And that's the story they appear to be telling to me, which was a little, I wasn't sure what I was going to find in there. You never really know when you're doing cards. But I did take my pendulum and go back over my calendar again. And this is something brand new to me. I've never tried to call it hunt luck with your ass. It's another thing. We had a poker table in that bar, and every time we used to have a game in there a couple of nights a week sometimes. Sometimes I was the dealer, and somebody would be sitting in one chair and winning all night, and when they cashed in and went home, everybody'd fight for their chair, and they wouldn't get the cards the other person were getting. So I always used to tell them, you can take that chair if you want to, but you can't hunt luck with your ass, and most of them would sit down in that chair and start losing. So I always thought that was funny. But so now we're back to they want to know if Fani Willis is getting ready to prosecute Trump. So I don't know if I've ever read on Fani Willis or not. If I have, it's been a long time ago. And she's the one doing almost the same case, I think. She's the New York DA, Fani Willis is. They want to know if she's going to, since he just got found guilty of this other stuff, I guess a lot of people's wondering if she's just going to come in now and do this through New York. So, Fani Willis. Because the case she would do would actually keep them from ever doing business, I think, in New York again, all of them or something. But anyway, and the fine could be huge through her. So is Fani Willis going to indict Trump? Trying to think of that lady's name in Georgia, but I know it like the back of my hand. But once I start reading cards, my mind just, I don't know where they take it to. They take it somewhere when I try to hone in on this stuff. So Fani Willis, are you getting ready to indict Trump? Fani Willis. This is going to, the hit, I drew one to put up over the reading. I should just say yes. Got the King of Swords here. Yeah, she's got everything she needs and she's ready to go. So I'm going to try to do a reading on her and see if some more information might come out on the whole deal. Maybe we'll. I know you can't get any time when you're doing anything to do with spirit, but I went. Oh, I started talking about. I think I dropped it. That blank calendar that I went over the first of the year with the first of this month with the pendulum, just to see where the action was coming through this month. The 17th was pretty strong. I don't know. It wasn't as strong as the 24th. The 24th is right under the 17th, so every time I went back over it, it would start going crazy anytime I got a hold of that. So I thought maybe news is coming out the 17th, and then on that Saturday, something comes out, and then really comes out on the 24th, right under it. So I don't usually do that, but I marked it down because I never check myself usually. I'd look at this stuff and then I just let it go. But since I wrote it on the calendar, it was there, and I went back and checked it again, and it still, the pendulum went crazy on those days. I don't have it laying close to me, but the Saturday after the 17th, the Saturday after the 17th, and the 24th, right under exactly a week away. So let's see. So Fannie Willis, what's going on with you? She got everything she needs. Look at this. She's got everything she needs, and not only to do this, but to win it. And this is supposed to be, this could be even up to billions of dollars or $1 billion or something. It's not just one of those little slap on the knuckles. It's not anything that she could send him to jail for, but he knows he's in trouble. He'd run away if he could. I was going to say he's going up the river. Well, maybe the IRS to get off. Wait a minute. Let's turn this. This is up. Oh, yeah, she's going to rock his world and change his world. Maybe after she does hers, then the IRS has to go after him. I just can't see what the IRS is doing, because this does start his trail up the river, down the river, whatever. I don't think they'll ever put him in a regular jail. Some people keep writing and asking me about Guantanamo. I think they ought to put them all over there and just not even lock the cells, just give them one knife. And I know they can't do that because it's another country. They need to put them on an island somewhere and just give them 1 or 2 knives and let them all have a fun. Let them play a survivor or whatever. So anyway, yeah, he's going somewhere. I'm thinking about going somewhere. Wow, and here he is, really thinking about going somewhere, taking a trip somewhere right now. Whatever Fannie Willis is doing, because that's what we're reading on, and she's not doing criminal, so I don't know why I'm getting these jail and leaving and going up the river. Maybe she's going to start her case, and before she even gets in on it, something harder and stronger coming down on him that could really change his whole life and send him somewhere that he's wanting to run away from. I don't usually read, but anyway, something's getting ready to change, people. Something's really getting ready to change. It is so bright here. I like that light shining in my eyes. That helps a little bit. She's got a strong case. She's got enough to bury him right now. She doesn't need anything any stronger. They're toasting their cups. And the strength is already there. She knows she's got, I think this is coming through pretty fast. I think she's going to make a move before too long. Here's the women celebrating already in the 7th house. That would be her. And the case is definitely a winner. Look at these main arcanas coming through. The World, the Emperor, they're all Donald Trump fears this. she's going to take the high ground, and he fears it because he knows she's got the goods. And when I turned this over, the Nine of Wands, I had a whole visualization to switch through my head about the youth, about the younger people coming in and hopefully correcting this horrible, horrible problem. And I'm not talking about the young idiots in the house right now either. Those people are so crazy. But anyway, yeah, so we got, yes, this is coming, and it's coming forward right away because she's got all the goods. And she'll be lucky if something don't come from the AG before she even gets started that could be almost totally life-changing. Sending somebody like to prison or something like that. Maybe to be the rest of the people in the family, because she's got more of them on that deal, but she's not. As far as I know, I don't think it's criminal. Maybe part of it's criminal. If you guys know, let me know, because it looks like, I didn't think that this was criminal, but it looks like it's dangerous. It's coming forward quickly, and Trump would like to get out of town quickly because he's afraid he's going to jail. This is really strong evidence. They know already that if everything runs fair and they get a halfway decent jury or whatever, that this is in the bag. And then look at this. That's America winning. This is America also taking the high ground and bringing in a younger generation. They're going to be following overseas money and shining a light. It's a lot of the things that are going to end up taking him down in all these cases, even the other ones of the treason, is going to be shining a light on the money. So anyway, that's what I come up with. Whatever, that's a card. I don't know why. I've been reading them for years, and they usually always come through. I just didn't think I'd be sitting here this many years after Trump got elected into that office, still wondering when he's going to get his comeuppance. Anyway, I had my friend Mark Rose want me to read in a direction like to see what these Jim Jordans and all these people are going to be doing in April. I was going to do it for like February or March, but let's give until April. You know how this goes. They don't act and we push it back. They don't act and we push it back. So let's go for April. For April. I moved the mic just a little bit, so if it was too low, I might have picked it up a little higher right there. So we're going to start with Jim Jorden. What's he going to be doing in April? What's Jim Jorden going to be doing in April? Jim Jorden in April. I'm not going to do big ones on all these people. I'm just going to draw 4 cards on all these different people I'm going to read on. So Jim Jorden in April, because I can't believe it's been 50 minutes almost on that timer up there. I usually have the still turned backwards, but I turned it back around. I don't care how blurry I am. I might as well go for that blur look that all the old women are using. Put a scarf over the camera. So Jim Jorden in April. So we got, let's put this back in there for some reason. Shuffling the cards without the main card, one of the main cards in there. Jim Jorden in April. What's going to be going on with Jim Jorden in April? Lots of news coming out. Well, this is the United States. This is the government, but this is not ever bad government. This is good government. So something good's. We got the town crier coming out with the news, and things are getting better in our government, and that's coming in April. Since I've been reading lately, this world card comes up all the time, and that's usually a total shift. I don't know why it's shifting or what it's shifting, but it's a total shift, and so that's the challenge. Is it's gonna, when all this stuff hits, it's going to be a huge challenge for the whole world. I mean, not that the people in other countries will be challenged, but they're going to be watching us so close. Well, I got the jail card. He could be in jail in April. I mean, they all deserve to be there. But for the future, his future, and I asked for it in April, if he's not in jail, he's pretty sure that he's going to jail by April. I hope the help's before April. It looks like he might already be there. That there's information coming out. The United States is on the winning deal. It changes the ideals all over the world, and it looks like he's locked up. That would be wonderful. We'll accept that. We'll accept that. I just hate to keep saying this. Even when I read on him about 6 weeks ago or something, I hadn't even thought about him in a long time, and it kept showing him in jail, and I didn't even know he was involved in all this stuff. And I thought, well, I know he's an asshole, and I know he's had his finger in the cookie jar for a long time, but is he in on that overthrowing the government? And it looks like he was. So anyway, so he'll probably be in jail in April. Now let's see what who else was on here? Oh, Matt Gaetz. I think everybody in the world's read on. He should have been in jail probably 10 years ago. Probably since he was 15, truth be known. Okay, this is for entertainment only. Fun and entertainment. So Matt Gaetz. Now remember, I put those cards back in there all over the stuff. Matt Gaetz. Well, he's going to be trying to make an offer to tell everything he ever knew or ever did know. He's going to be making an offer in April. And maybe even trying to leave the country. He's already thinking about that. Because he knows he's not getting out of this by April. And maybe everybody else knows too. Look at this. Let's see what the outcome is. Come on, be there. I feel like I got the Lovers. Him and all of his cronies are going down. And I know that court case about him with those minors and stuff is never going to do. Nobody seems to ever. They're going to let that go. Even I think they had enough stuff on that to put him in jail. But here we got the Lovers. Maybe that's because he was in trouble for that to start with, and that energy secret's coming out. Another main arcana. It's going to cause him all kinds of woe. So he's got the Broken Heart, the Nine of Swords, and the Hangman. So whatever's going on with him in April, it ain't good. It looks like he's wanting to offer somebody everything he knows. This is him leaving the house. This is him being crushed. Maybe some more stuff comes out about the minors or some other minors. Because here's truth surfacing. That's going to keep him from sleeping probably the rest of his life, at least for a long time, because he's a hanged man. So these aren't good cards to have. I mean, if they were good cards, I'd tell you they were good cards, but they're not. So sometimes I always worry that my mind's influencing these cards. It doesn't make any difference because I'm not saying, like reading cards is like taking a trip with or without a map. It's not like telling a fortune. So I don't know. It looks bad for these guys. And the other people on here is somebody said Marjorie Trader Greene. They wanted to know where she's going to be at in April. So if they're all going to end up being in jail in April, then there's something going on, something coming through pretty quick. So maybe that's why. And then we're going to read on. Somebody called her instead of what is her real name, but Lying Bogert. So what is her first name? I know her name. But anyway, I don't even want to talk about her. We're going to read on Marjorie. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Where's she going to be in April? What's going to be going on with her and around her and through her and on her and on? I was going to say on top of her. That don't sound good. I didn't mean it that way. But what's going to be going on for Marjorie Taylor Greene in April? Marjorie Taylor Greene. God, she is a menace. Right now she is very threatening to our democracy and our whole world. I cannot believe she's that close to what's going on. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Do I have these cards upside down? Yep, I do. Let me turn them around. I don't think this is her studying for a new job. This was in the end, I'd say she was in jail making license plates, but she's learning a new hobby. Because she's really worried about justice coming down on her in the present. She knows it's coming. They know this. That's why they're trying to get inside there and get the paperwork on how much trouble. She's working, but she's working in the wrong direction. There's not. This is upside down. There's nothing she can do to get her ass out of this, and she knows it, and she knows it's coming. After she gets caught, she's going to see what she can do to make an offer. She's going to try to tell, make an offer, get out of it. She still, on some level, thinks she's going to get out of it. But somebody in the house ain't going to let her out of it, and it's going to be somebody, maybe the Democrats are getting ready to take it back over. I don't know, but since they can't get anything passed through without the consent of, like to make a new law or a new bill or to cancel something or anything with it, till some more stuff comes up where they have to control the purse strings because this stuff was already passed through. Something's going on. They're coming after her. Does she make an offer to tell some things she knows about Donald Trump? And about what's been going in that? Does she know that she's in that much trouble that she could be in jail for years or something? Because this is like giving out information, trying to... Bullies being bullies. I don't know. I don't see a jail card for her. I mean, she could be... She's worried about being in jail. And she knows there's enough stuff there to put her away forever. And the burden's so heavy, she can't change it now. She's already thinking that maybe if she has to, she'll end up giving information. But I don't think whoever's in charge of this by that time or whatever's going on in the house is going to make a hell of a lot of difference. But the information, she's going to offer information on Trump, on the King of Pentacles. And tell everybody she'll help put the bully away. Well, I don't know if she's going to jail, but she's leaving the house. She's definitely leaving the house. Look at this. I'm going to draw one more. If justice comes through for her, she will be in jail. And here's another main arcana. So it looks like, yeah, hopefully every month, I think we can't wait any longer in this. This has got to be taken care of. I don't know what the hang-up is. And then sometimes when I listen to those lawyers like from Midas Touch, who I really enjoy because you really can listen to them and they're very honest with you about what's really going on, they keep pushing this back and pushing it back. But that doesn't mean they know everything. And then I agree with Glenn Kushner. He'd pull his hair out if he had any left to pull out. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. And I was going to do such a quick one, and it says an hour and 2 minutes. After I get through editing, it won't be that long. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. And I want to bless everybody and thank you for watching and thanks for your questions. And I'll try not to be grumpy coming back at you. Anyway, and I hope you can hear this, but if you can't, you can just slightly say, please turn it up a little bit, but I don't need a bunch of things telling me what to do because I don't need a new mic. I've got a really good mic. I had it on low because I was sitting right on top of it where I was at before. And since I changed where I don't have to pile a bunch of stuff up to set my camera on, I got something, anyway, I moved the camera in closer and started using a different dildo to put it up on. It moved me further away from the mic, and I can, if I move the mic closer, it's going to be right in the middle of where I set to put my makeup on every day. So maybe I'll move it to the other side, but I need to figure out, anyway, I need to move this or something. So just, like I said, you don't have to let me know if you hear me good, but if, just whatever. I don't want to hear everybody trying to tell me something different about what to do with it. But I also understand, and I'm not picking on you guys that can hear me, is it depends on the devices you've got. Because I know I've got an iPhone and I do all my readings over the iPad because I call from there or have them call and answer it on that because my sound's so much better on that than it is on my phone. So, like I said, so I do realize it's the different devices. But anyway, I hope you're all doing great out there, and bless you all. And remember, if you want a reading, it's LynnTarotReadings@gmail.com, and put your phone number in there. And bless you all, and namaste.